And welcome back. So I got tired of waiting for my hair to dry, and since it's a summer camp movie, it seems appropriate. So welcome to my channel. Welcome back. If you're new here, just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And we are going to begin day 5 of Slasher Week, and we are going to break down, analyze, and celebrate The Burning. Now this is the Scream Factory release, DVD and Blu-ray of The Burning. Has a double-sided. I prefer their picture better. So yes, that's how it's displayed in my collection. Now, The Burning was released in 1981. Yes. It was directed by Tony Maylam, and it was written by Harvey Weinstein. And Tony Maylam and Brad Gray, and it stars Brian Matthews, Leah Ayres, and Brian Becker. It also has Jason Alexander in it. Who'd have thought? Back before he became a little barrel on Seinfeld. And you even get to see his ass pre-potato sack. Yeah, I know that's rude. It's also got Fisher Stevens, yes. And yeah. So let's do the damn thing. So, like I said, it was released in 1981. This movie opens up at Camp Blackfoot. Now, Camp Blackfoot, we get to see Jamie and Snoop and Billy and the rest of the gang, including a surprise guest, who have decided that they want to get even with the camp caretaker. His name is Cropsey, right? And he's a drunk, and supposedly he's an asshole and very mean to them, so they decide that they're going to play a little joke on him. They wait till he's completely hammered and passed out in the bed, and they sneak into his cabin, where they put this skull with candles in it, and they put maggots on it. Actually, it looked like mealworms, but maybe they were just using it as maggots, because those would have been like really big flies, you know what I'm saying? So personally, I think it was mealworms, but it's supposed to be maggots. And they then all go outside, and they bang on the window until he wakes up. He wakes up, and I'm sure to a very drunk person who woke up to that, he freaked out, and he tried to slap it away. Instead, it went on his bed. It caught the whole bed on fire, which then hit this gasoline can, this petrol can that was on the floor, causing it all to blow, into a towering inferno. And he runs outside. They're all shocked. I mean, of course, they didn't mean that to happen, but that's the way pranks go, isn't it? So, he runs outside on fire. He jumps into the lake, and that's it. They just stand there kind of like, what the fuck? So we're then like a week later, we are shown at hospital, where some orderly is trying to get this new resident doctor to come look at the mess, look at the freak. He takes him in there. He shows him Cropsey, and Cropsey reaches out and grabs his arm, and that looked pretty nasty. And then, bim bam boom, we are teleported magically, like movies love to do, and are capable of doing 5 years into the future, where we get to see Cropsey, and we hear a little narration in the background of doctors saying, "I'm so sorry the skin grafts didn't take. We've done all that we can do for you. you're capable of, being released. And they release this horribly disfigured individual into the world. He walks around, he picks up a hooker, takes her back to the apartment. Her reaction, which, who can blame her, But her reaction really upset him, and he ends up killing her with a big pair of regular shears, clothing shears, which I guess is what turned him on to, choose that as his weapon of choice. Of course, he switches to gardening shears, which are a little bit more damaging. However, it got the job done on the hooker. You know what I mean? So he's gone. We are then teleported to Camp Stonewater. Now, this is a little ways down from Camp Blackfoot. So it's on the same lake or river. And we are introduced to our main characters of this movie. That is Todd and Alfred and Michelle, Glazer, Dave, Eddie, and Sophie, Woodstock, and Tiger. So that's our main little group. We see from Cropsy's perspective that he is creeping around in the woods, so he's back. You know what I mean? And so we're introduced to them. Alfred is the bullied one, even though Jason Alexander's character and Fisher Stevens' character and the other guy, they're friends with him. They take up for him, but he's kind of weird. So he is caught trying to spy on Sally in the shower, and before you even notice, call it a lack of preparedness, but I ran out of scriptos, which means I had to write my notes in regular pen, just a regular ballpoint pen. And so if you see me struggling, it's because I'm trying to see ballpoint pen in this lighting. You know what I mean? But, this isn't a 007 movie in the desert, so we're not going to have full lighting here. So the main girl of the camp, she's really upset, and that's Michelle, or Sally. Oh, he's trying to spy on Sally, and Michelle wants him gone. But Todd, taking up for him, smooths it over, and is like, I'll keep an eye on him, everything will be fine. And we are introduced to Glazer. Glazer is such a meathead, like he's like this butch beefcake gym rat, and he's of course gorgeous, but there you go. So he's a total asshole, and that Sally is the girl he likes, so he's picking on Alfred, and telling him, stay away from my chick. So, we see Cropsy creeping up on the boys' cabin and looking in the window, and Alfred sees him in the window, and that's the first really good look, even though it's only a short thing. It's enough to let you know what the fuck, So, of course, nobody believes Alfred that he saw this face in the window. And the older kids from the camp, they are going to leave and go on a 3-night campover. So you have that main group. They're the older kids, and they leave to go on this campover. They're going to take a trip down to Devil's Creek, where we get to see Todd tell the campfire story vis-a-vis Friday the 13th, you know what I mean? And Todd tells the campfire story about Cropsy, and that he's going to get you and all this kind of stuff. So they've turned it into a campfire story. Now, while they're out there, um, Eddie and Karen, they go skinny dipping. Karen likes him. Eddie is kind of like an asshole, but sometimes he's not. So there's this dynamic between them. He manages to convince her to go skinny dipping, where he tries to get some, and that doesn't work out for him. So he gets pissed at her. He continues to swim while she goes to shore. Vis-a-vis Planet of the Apes, the original, she gets to the shore and all her clothes are gone. Which, is like Charlton Heston and them when they went skinny dipping in that waterfall and they came out and all the mutes had took their clothes. So it was kind of like that. That's what it reminded me of. So Cropsey had like breadcrumbs, had laid out her panties and her bra and further into the woods until she went. And then we get the Karen kill, where he does the business on her. Now, that next morning, Todd and Michelle, they wake up Eddie and they're like jumping all over him about where the fuck is Karen? Nobody has seen her. Of course, I would like to jump in and say you can usually find one in a Walmart parking lot, but this particular Karen cannot be found. So they jump all over him. They also, and he's like, I don't know. This is what we did. She got pissed. I figured she went back. I figured she came back to the girls over there. No, she's not. So they have to deal with that. They also realize that all of their canoes are gone because this little group, they had 5 canoes. And all of the canoes are gone. So they're like, what the fuck? Todd, in his little Eagle Scout capacity, actually puts together a raft. Now, Eddie and Woodstock and 3 others, they are going to go back down to the camp to get help, to bring back some canoes. And, they're stuck because they can't go through the woods. What are they going to do, swim back down there? So, this leads to the, I guess, most famous scene from this movie, and that is that Woodstock spots one of the canoes floating over there, and him and the others go over there to it, and Cropsey is laying down in it, right? So he jumps up with the, and here goes, and that's a very good scene. Very, very, very effective, great special effects. So Crop jumps out, kills them all in a very nasty way. Then we have Glazer and Sally's scene. He finally convinces her to go out there and make out in the woods. She's gonna let him get some. And while they're out there, that was actually humiliating, because it's like bim, bam, boom, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. And she doesn't even try to be nice about it, she's just like, is that all? And I think that was supposed to indicate, that I guess that was a slam on those type of guys, big butch, I'm all that. Yet when it gets right down to it, they can't perform, all talk and no action. So he's a little offended at first, actually is a little embarrassed, and she's like, but they kind of make up, and she's like, no, we don't have to go back, we can stay here. You go and get some matches and make us a fire and we'll have our own little thing. So he goes and does that. And while he's doing that, Cropsey does the business on her. And we get, a very nice kill scene from her. Now, when he had went to get the matches from the main camp, Alfred, in his sneaky little self, he saw him and pretended to be asleep, but he followed him. And so he was there when Glazer got back. and found, Sally dead, which he didn't have time to really digest that information, because just about the time that he realized Sally was dead, he was dead. Because Cropsey, gutted him in the throat, pinned him up against a tree, and Alfred is witnessing this whole thing. So, Alfred then takes off, runs to Todd for help. Remember, ballpoint pen. So, Alfred takes off, runs to Todd for help, manages to convince him that he's not being his usual dickly self, and they go out there, and Todd actually, it's true. You know what I mean? So, about that time, while this was going on, Michelle sees the raft coming back. And she's like, what the fuck is up with that? So she swims out there. Now, this is with Jason Alexander and all the others on there at the shore. And so she swims out there, and bodies, mutilated body parts, the arm falls on her. Fisher Stevens' character, Woodstock, he comes up out the water and scares the shit out of her. And so now both Todd and her pretty much simultaneously find out that bad shit is going down. So they're both scared shitless. So Right, okay. So Todd, he goes running back because Alfred, he takes off. And Cropsey is chasing Alfred. And Todd has gone back to tell Michelle and them what's going on. So he gets all of them to pile on that raft and go get help. While he then turns around and goes chasing after, looking for Alfred, because Alfred's gone. So we then get to see Alfred being chased Deliverance style through the woods until he manages to run across the old camp. The old camp, Camp Blackfoot, and finds Cropsey's lair, which he is immediately then nailed to the wall with his arm with a pair of those shears. Now, Todd is coming. He manages to find him, and that's when we basically get the boss battle, if you will. Cropsey comes out with a flamethrower. Him and Todd are going at it full force. Alfred uses all of his strength and manages to get off the wall and ends up, stabbing Cropsey in the back. So you think that he's dead. They embrace I think we just survived the shit, start to walk out when Cropsey appears again. Because they're never really dead. Have you ever seen Scream? You know what I mean? They're never really dead. So he jumps back up. There is more tussle, except for this time Todd finishes him off by axing him in the head. Now, during this fight, we had the big reveal. And that was Todd flashed back when he saw Cropsey to Camp Blackfoot. And we get to see the little scene where the boys are planning to go and, scare Cropsey. Only this time we actually get to hear Todd's name. Todd was one of those boys who did this to Cropsey. So it's kind of like full circle, and if truth be told, Todd was really the only one Cropsey should have been after, but, then we wouldn't have a movie, would we? People always like to say, I would have done this, I would have done that, why didn't he do this, why didn't he do that? Don't you fail to realize that if they did any of these things that you suggested, you wouldn't be watching the fucking movie, because there would be no movie? So, yeah. Always remember that when you have your little answers to what someone should or should not have done in a movie. So, Todd axes him, and they set him on fire again. So he kind of ended the way he started, burning up. And then you have the outro. The cops, of course, arrive. She's gotten back to camp. The cops arrive in the heli, and all is well with the world, except for the mental trauma they're going to suffer for the rest of their lives. So the outro is a new group of kids sitting around the campfire with this blonde guy counselor who is telling that Cropsey campfire story. And that's when the credits roll. Now, let's talk about the movie. We all know about Harvey Weinstein and all that, but I will give him credit. Okay. This is one of my favorite slashers of all time. I'll have to do a top 20 list because I know I couldn't do a top 10. But I'd have to do a top 20 list, and this would be on it. I love this movie for a lot of reasons, especially, how great it is. But it's also got extra checks that some of them don't get. The Burning has equal nudity. I don't know who, because there's a lot of slashers that are very, very misogynistic, which I don't think people understand how that is, or what that's what that is. It's why Rob Zombie is a misogynistic pig. I loved his Halloween and Halloween 2, but I would literally just cuss him out in his face. I would call him everything. I don't like Rob Zombie, but I like some of his movies. But it's just like those movies, they objectify females and then act as though their nudity is of no value. You can strip the women and show all of their stuff, but the guys, they don't have to show nothing because they're men. And then there's people who go, well, no, that's because they want teenage boys into the theater, and they don't want to see a guy's butt. And I'm like, but there's girls. There's heterosexual women. They don't want to see a girl's boobs either. Nobody seems to give a fuck. That gets into that argument, that little misogynistic, male-dominated, or heterosexual male-dominated crowd. The Burning has equal nudity. There's something for everyone. Like I said, you get to see, what was that scene? Alfred didn't moon him, but they mooned Glazer from, when he swam out there. So you had Fisher Stevens, Jason Alexander, and that other guy. They all mooned him, so you got the moon shot. You get Sally in her shower scene. So you get the, when Alfred is spying on her, so you get that. You get the Glazer and Sally. Later on, she does it again. You get, they have a nude shot of her too. But they also show Glazer, So you get boob and butt in that shot. So I really like that, and that they're not being unfair to the women. And so that gets an extra check for me. Balanced nudity, equal nudity. It makes it, you don't have to feel bad about it. It's like you're not doing that. And, they're showing the guys too, so you can't really say that the movie is objectifying women. And I think that's the best argument. I know Kevin Bacon made it in his little campaign, Show Me the Bacon, where he did that. And Mama Dragon, when they revolted on that Game of Thrones, there was that controversy where she was like, no more boobs for you. And that was because the first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones, man, there was nudity everywhere. And it was very, very equal. Guys' butts here, women's boobs there. And then, like, in the third season, it's like you didn't even see the crack of a dude's butt no more after that. Guys had sex with their clothes on, a.k.a. Rob Zombie in Halloween. And the girls were all stripped like slaves. It was ridiculous. And they actually revolted on that show. And she was like, these ain't coming out no more. With Kip whatever, the black-headed guy from, I only seen the first few seasons, but Kip, I've got him in some other movies, I can't think of his name, but Kip whatever. If he doesn't have to show his butt, I don't have to show my boobs, then I'm not going to, if you're going to be that way about it. I agree with that, and I think that's exactly the right thing to do. So, I absolutely love The Burning. I think it is a fantastic Friday the 13th clone. Everybody wants to, it's like, I've seen it before. I don't care. You can show me 3 Friday the 13th clones every year, and as long as it's got pretty people, cool kills, decent story, even if it's derivative, good acting, decent story, show me some good kills, I don't care. How many times can I watch Friday the 13th over and over? Yeah, but you're watching Friday the 13th over and over when you watch The Burning and everything else that's a clone of it. And I'm like, no, not really. It's different people. It's a different setting. It's a different, it's different. Besides, I like it. And it's like Lay's potato chips. You don't want just one. You know what I mean? I don't want just one Friday the 13th. I want 25 Friday the 13th that I can watch. So I don't mind clones at all. I don't mind it being derivative. Just give me what I want. You know what I mean? So, The Burning, I think, is a great one. Is one of the top 20 slashers and horror movies of all time, to me. It is definitely on my top 20 slasher list. Probably in the top 10. I have to sit down and think. But it's definitely up there. And it's for all of those reasons, So, yeah. That was 1981's The Burning. And we will be back. Or I will be back. No, I say we will be back. Because it's me and my movies. Each one of my movies is its own little personality. And I don't have to go to a streaming service to watch it. It's all mine. And I'm going to do that all the time. It's mine, mine, mine. I can watch it whenever I fucking want to. And I can freeze frame it and frame step it. Beautiful shot. I'm not going to tell you what shots I freeze frame though. It's none of your business. And besides, I don't have to tell you, do I? So, thank you very much for stopping by. Tell me what you think of The Burning if anybody cares to comment about it. I'm going to run my mouth regardless. So, tell me what you think about The Burning. Have you seen it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's derivative and a clone? And I will see you in the next one. Love you, miss you. Bye-bye. Always remember and never forget, you are a very, very, very special person. And I will see you in day 6 of Slasher Fest. Coming soon. To a computer monitor or telephone for you people that are stuck with them. Very soon. Bye-bye. Tomorrow, actually.